Okay. Good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining me. My name is Peggy Kurtz. Before we begin, I want to mention that we are recording this meeting, but we've set the settings so that you should not be visible in the recording. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. You should be able to put questions while I'm speaking into the chat or unmute. If you can hold your questions until the end, I think that generally works best. Okay. So I'm here tonight to explain the Hudson Valley Community Power Program, which is a clean energy program that the town of Clinton is exploring. I'm the community coordinator. As I mentioned, my name is Peggy Kurtz. I'm the community coordinator for Jewel Community Power, which is a division of Jewel Assets. Jewel Assets will be the program administrator for the program if the town decides to move ahead. The Hudson Valley Community Power Program is a community-based program that makes renewable electricity available at competitive rates. And the program currently includes 12 municipalities in the Hudson Valley. So you may have participated in the Hudson Valley Community Power Electricity Supply Program in the past. The town took a break from the program for several years. Now the town is considering rejoining the program, and the new round of the program would begin in summer of 2025. So this is just a quick overview of, this is just a formal statement. I'll explain in more detail as we go forward. The town of Clinton is exploring the option to participate in an upcoming bid for electricity supply contract through the Hudson Valley Community Power Program. This program would provide eligible residents and small businesses with the benefits of renewable electricity supply at competitive rates. This is a quick overview of the topics I'll be covering this evening. I'll be talking about the type of program, which is what's called the Community Choice Aggregation Program, some of the benefits, the role of Central Hudson, take a closer look at your bill. We'll talk about the enrollment process and some other logistics, and then I'll open it up for your questions. So the aim of the program, right, just one second. The aim of the program is to make it easier for more people to access renewable electricity supply at competitive rates. And when we talk about renewable electricity this evening, what we're talking about is electricity that is generated by hydropower from dams or from wind power. Some of the benefits, and again, this is a quick overview, some of the benefits that I'll talk about in more detail are clean, renewable electricity, competitive rates, strong consumer protection, and more choice for consumers. None of your current choices go away. In fact, you will have additional choices. This is what's called, the Hudson Valley Community Power Program is what's called the Community Choice Aggregation Program, or CCA for short. That's the type of program that it is. Essentially, with CCA programs, municipalities create a large buying group through which eligible residents and small businesses may purchase their electricity supply. These programs enable municipalities to leverage the buying power of that large group, usually thousands or tens of thousands of households, to negotiate competitive rates for eligible residents and small businesses. If you move into the town of Clinton today, Central Hudson will automatically be your electricity supply provider by default. This program shifts the choice of default supplier to the town of to the town of Clinton, so that your elected officials can make the choice that's right for your community. The town of Clinton can select renewable electricity as the default electricity supply and do so at a competitive rate through the large buying group. CCA programs were authorized by the Public Service Commission in 2016, and the programs are regulated by the Public Service Commission. In 2019, New York State passed groundbreaking climate legislation which mandates an unprecedented transformation of the state's electric grid. The electric grid must be powered 70% by renewable electricity by 2030. At this point, that's less than 5 years away, and it must be 100% carbon-free by 2040. Without local action, the state cannot meet these goals, which will ultimately help to protect our communities and our own families. The program we're discussing today helps communities take a major step in the direction of these goals for renewable electricity, and in fact, state regulators recognize CCA programs with renewable electricity as one of the most powerful climate actions a community can take. CCA is a growing movement across the country and in New York State. Municipalities have been participating in the Hudson Valley Community Power Program since 2019, and multiple municipalities are hoping to begin their fourth CCA contract this summer. Since the first contract in 2019, the Hudson Valley Community Power Program has avoided 90,266 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalents through the purchase of New York State renewable electricity. So now let's talk about how this actually works for consumers in terms of the logistics. Central Hudson remains your utility. In New York State, the utility no longer actually generates the electricity. The utility essentially has become the middleman, delivering the electricity to the consumer, to the customer. What changes with CCA is the supply, the source, all the way to the left of this screen. Okay. If you're joining late, I'll be glad to, we've started a few minutes ago, but I'll be glad to go back over anything after we finish. So we're just talking about how this actually works for consumers. I was just mentioning that the utility no longer actually generates the electricity. They become the middleman, delivering the electricity to the consumer. But what changes is the source of the electricity. So instead of the utility purchasing electricity for you from power plants, the electricity is supplied through the CCA program with the option for renewable electricity. With the CCA program, Central Hudson continues to deliver the electricity, repair and maintain lines, and bill customers. They are still the ones to call in the event of power outages, which should be no more frequent than before. So you can see this same distinction between supply and delivery on your electric bill. If your municipality decides to participate in the program, I'm going to show you how your electricity bill will look. This is page 2 of a Central Hudson bill. Within the electricity portion of your bill, there are 2 subsections. So delivery is at the top in the green box, and this portion does not change because the utility continues to deliver your electricity. What does change is the supply part of your bill, and that's in the red box on the bottom of page 2. And just note that I've dropped in a green box and a red box, which are not usually there. So this is where you will see changes in the red box if your municipality decides the supply portion of your bill, if your municipality decides to participate, and if you decide to participate in the program. This is a bill for a participant in a past program. You can see in the red box the name of the supplier, which at that time was Direct Energy. That's where you will see the name of the new supplier if your municipality decides to move forward in the program, and the supplier is chosen in a bidding process. Under the title, a little lower in that same box, it's the same section, it says cost for electricity supply and then electricity supply charge. And you see 761 kilowatt hours, which was the amount of electricity that this particular household used in that period, in that billing period. And the rate at that time was 6.361 cents per kilowatt hour. So the multiplication, multiplying the kilowatt hours times the rate, comes to $48.41. And a little bit lower, it says total electricity supply charges, $48.41. And that is the supply charges before the sales tax, which applies to anybody, whether or not you participate in the program. Both your delivery charges, which go to the utility, and your supply charges as part of the CCA program are calculated based on how much electricity you use, and that's measured in kilowatt hours. So now let's talk a little bit about the enrollment process. Most Central Hudson customers are eligible to participate. CCA programs are opt-out programs. Okay. CCA programs are opt-out programs. That means those who are eligible are automatically enrolled in the program after they receive a mailing and the opportunity to opt out, but they can opt out with no fees at any time. And I'm going to talk about that opt-out process right now. I've just said that most Central Hudson customers are eligible. This includes both residents, homeowners, and renters that have their own Central Hudson accounts, and small businesses. But there are some Central Hudson customers who will not receive that mailing because they are not eligible. Those include ESCO customers. ESCOs are energy service companies or third-party suppliers. A second category is Central Hudson customers who have placed a block on their account. These are customers who ask Central Hudson to ensure they are not enrolled in supply from third-party suppliers. Home Energy Assistance Program or HEAP recipients, also not considered eligible. Customers on time of use accounts also will not receive the mailing, and larger commercial customers with demand meters. So I can talk about any or all of these categories in the Q&A if it applies to any of you and if you're interested in participating in the program. Okay, eligible customers will be automatically enrolled in the program unless they opt out, but they will receive a mailing, and that mailing they will receive a mailing with information about the program, and that in advance of the program launching, and that mailing will give you 3 easy ways to opt out if that is your preference. So number 1, you can opt out with a reply card that's in the packet that you will receive. There will be a reply card and a postage paid envelope. Just, fill out the reply card and send that back, and you're out of the program. You can also call the helpline. I'll give you that number in a few minutes. Or you can unenroll yourself through the online enrollment/unenrollment form. You can also change your option within the program by calling the helpline, by doing number 2 or 3, calling the helpline or using the online form. For example, your municipality may choose to offer a couple of different renewable electricity supply options. So you can change your option within the program through that form too, or calling the helpline. Okay, so let's talk about the timeline now. If the town of Clinton decides to accept an electricity supply bid through the program, there will be another set of, there will be further outreach, including more outreach meetings, info sessions. At that time, we'll know the program rate and the term, and then a mailing goes out to all eligible households and small businesses. Again, that packet that goes out in the mailing will include the program rates, the benefits, terms and conditions, frequently asked questions, information about more info sessions. It will also include that information about how to opt out, as I've mentioned, the reply card. So you'll have easy options to opt out. with no fee at any time, if that is your preference. That will be followed by a 30-day opt-out period, and we'll have additional events, as I've mentioned, during that opt-out period. The difference between the initial opt-out period and opting out once the program begins is that once the 30-day period is over, if you have not yet opted out, you will be automatically moved into the program. If you opt out during the initial opt-out period, the 30-day period, you will not be enrolled in the program. If you opt out after the 30-day period, it will take 1 or 2 billing cycles to leave the program and return to supply from the utility. After the 30-day period, the program will launch, and then on your next bill after the launch date, if you are participating, you should see the name of the new supplier in the supply portion of your bill and the electricity supply rate, the new rate in the section, the supply portion of your bill that I showed you a few slides ago. Okay, now I'm going to go through some frequently asked questions, and then I'll open it up to your questions. Does this program replace your utility company? No. You continue to pay your utility bill, and your utility remains responsible for delivery and maintenance of the electric grid and billing. Does this impact the reliability of your electricity? No. Central Hudson continues to deliver your electricity and provides the same service whether you participate in the program or not. Will this program save you money? Savings are not guaranteed. When people ask us, will this program save me money? What they're really asking for is a comparison with utility rates, but utility rates change from month to month, and they are not posted ahead of time. And so we have no way of knowing what the rates will be ahead of time in order to compare. Can you participate if you have your own solar panels, or if you participate in community solar and community hydropower? Yes, even if you use solar power or participate in community solar or hydropower, you are still required to have a supplier on your utility bill to cover any electricity not provided by your solar or hydropower. What happens when the program ends? When the contract ends, the town may choose to renew participation in the program. If not, you will automatically switch back to Central Hudson, selecting your supply on your behalf. I'd like to end with some of the benefits. There's the opportunity for at least 50% renewable electricity. If you want, I can explain in more detail what 50% means. Competitive rates, strong consumer protection, no contracts for consumers, no exit fees at any time. And this is my last slide in the presentation. I want to give you the contact information, which I'm going to read in case anybody's on the phone. You can always call the helpline Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And you can call on the weekend or in the evening and leave a message. We'll call you back. The number is 845-859-9099. Again, 845-859-9099. There's an email, also info@hudsonvalleycommunitypower.com. And you can also find lots of information on the website at hudsonvalleycommunitypower.com. So now I'm going to stop sharing for a minute so that I can take a look at the chat. You should be able to unmute yourself also. Okay, there is a question in the chat. I believe you mentioned that your company generates hydro and wind electricity. What is the difference in cost and environmental impact of hydro and electric versus solar generated power? Okay, so first of all, I want to correct a misconception. And I'm not sure that I'm qualified entirely to answer the second half of your question. Okay, so we do not actually generate the electricity. We will be putting out an RFP, and we will be getting bids from suppliers. which will include bids for 100% and for 50% renewable electricity. We, at least until now, from what I've seen, generally the supply is from hydropower or from wind power. My understanding is that these are small run-of-river hydropower projects. The ones that are from the 100% are all from New York State, from upstate. And I can explain the difference between 50 and 100%. And that these are very clean projects. But I'm really not qualified to talk about it will be a mix. It will be a mix. And what you're going to see is the rate that includes whatever that mix is. So in terms of the cost, but I'm really not qualified. I feel like it's a good question, but I'm not qualified to talk about the cost and the environmental impact of hydro and electric versus solar. What I can say is that at this point in time, there's very little utility scale solar, which is why the focus is on the hydropower and the wind. That's why, in fact, we're purchasing the hydro and the wind and not the solar. So I hope that helped to answer your question. And if you would like a little bit more detail about the environmental impact of the various possibilities, hydroelectric and solar, I can try to get an answer for you. If you want to, you can, in the chat, you can put your email directly to me. Other questions? Okay. I realize you represent a particular company that the town of Clinton is considering. Do you know if the town of Clinton is exploring other companies and why the town of Clinton has chosen your company over others? I do, at this time, the town has signed signed an agreement with Jewel. What the thinking was behind that, I can't really answer for the town board. I know that the town of Clinton did participate earlier in I believe it was the first round of the program, and possibly the second round of the program. So I believe, I would like to assume that they had positive experience with Jewel and find us to be qualified and experienced as a program administrator, and we really, what we specialize in is renewable electricity, which I'm understanding is a priority for the town. Other questions? You should all be able to unmute yourselves if you would like. Just gonna ask you to unmute, but you should be able to invite you to unmute, but you can. Maybe I'm gonna talk for a minute. I'm gonna share my screen again and talk for a minute about the difference between 50% and 100%. Okay. Okay, I'm going to talk for a minute about the difference between 50 and 100% renewable electricity, because it often happens that the town is choosing one of these two as a default and offering the second one as an alternative option. So this way you'll have a sense of what these two options mean, although we do not yet know whether the town is participating and what the town. So just to clarify, the town will be choosing, it is up to each individual town which option they choose as the default. So that's, if you get the mailing, if you're eligible and you get the mailing, you will be automatically opted into the default that the town has chosen if you do nothing. But generally, many of the municipalities, most of the municipalities, if not all of them at the current time, are offering a second option, at least one more option. So you can choose within the program by calling the helpline or by changing your option on the enrollment form. You can either opt out altogether or you can change your option within the program. So what's the difference between these two? So we're talking about 50% and 100% New York State renewable. So 50% New York State renewable means that 50% of your electricity supply is matched by renewable energy certificates, or RECs, provided by New York State renewable power plants, hydropower, wind, or solar. The remaining 50% is matched by RECs sourced from other U.S. renewable electricity sources that are not tracked or verified by the New York State Department of Public Service. The 50% renewable option is not counted as a 100% renewable by New York State. 100% New York State renewable means that 100% of your electricity supply is matched by renewable energy certificates, or RECs, provided by New York State renewable power plants, hydropower, wind, or solar. So that's what that means. I hope that's helpful to hear that. Is anybody on a third-party supplier and you're interested in participating in the program, or time of use, HEAP, or, HEAP is really not eligible, but some of the others, if you're interested in participating, I can explain further. Is there, okay, or anybody who's who's already participating in either community solar or community hydropower, or has solar panels and wants a little bit more explanation? Make sure there's no other questions that I'm missing.
Peggy?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So the last we heard there was well, I think Jewel was going out and trying to get towns to join in, but is that still ongoing, or
No,
where does
but
that
yeah,
process stand?
I mean, we're always happy to work with new towns or villages, but at this point, in terms of, there's a certain set process that has to take place. It's a regulated process. So at this point, for this round of the Hudson Valley Community Power Program, the municipalities that are considering participation are the 12 municipalities that are currently in the program, and 3 additional municipalities, either that are completely new to it, or Clinton, that had participated in the past. So if there are
Okay.
other municipalities that are interested in participating, yes, of course, we're happy to work with them. But they would not be participating in this round of the program because they wouldn't be aligned with that regulatory process.
So we're not in it yet, Clinton.
No, because
Oh,
we don't have bids. There's a whole set
right.
process,
Yeah, I understand.
and we are putting out an RFP for the municipalities, and then the bids will come back from the suppliers, and then there will be a negotiation process between the municipalities, and that's part of what Jewel does, is to negotiate on behalf of the whole bidding process is part of what we navigate for the communities.
Right.
So, and then it's up to each municipality to accept or to reject the bids that we will be making recommendations. We do not always recommend to move ahead. Sometimes the bids that come back we feel are not to the advantage of the community, and so then we will say we recommend just waiting. Maybe we'll come back 3 weeks later, or maybe we'll say, let's give it a month, another month, and we'll come back because of the energy market. Or is there individual municipalities also have the option to either accept, say this looks good to us, or to say we're going to sit this round out. So that all of that is still possible. And then at that time, if the town does decide to move ahead, we'll know what the default energy source of the electricity will be and what the new rate will be. And then we'll come back with more outreach. Another round of outreach.
Mm.
So I have a question in the chat. Is there any advantage in participating in this program as compared to independently choosing your own supplier? So you can choose your own supplier, but you have a lot less leverage shopping as one household, both over the contract and over the rate. The large buying group does give some advantages, both in terms of securing a contract that's the most consumer protective, and also in terms of the rates. The other big advantage that I would mention is also that you have strong consumer protection. Another one that you have strong consumer protection. There's no individual contracts for consumers. So, and there are no exit fees at any time. You can leave the program, you can come back into the program, you can change your option within the program. So there are no fees or penalties at any time. And finally, I would say that the other advantage, if you feel strongly about the benefit of clean electricity, clean renewable electricity, is that you're doing it as a community. And that's where you have the community has, that's why this is considered by New York State to be one of the most powerful climate actions a community can take, because you're doing this together as a community, knowing, of course, that some people will opt out. But basically, it has a much more powerful climate impact. Other questions or comments? Questions about community solar? Okay, I'll give it, yeah.
What, what is your typical, if there is such a thing, percentage of people in a community who decide to opt out? Do you have any numbers on that?
Sure, it varies quite a bit.
Yeah.
It varies very widely. It can be anything from a little bit under 10%, I think the lowest I've heard is 7%, to
Mm.
as much as 40% or even over. And the difference between a 10% and a 40% opt-out rate can be one viral face post, sometimes accurate and sometimes not. And it's not unusual for the CCA rate to be more than the utility rate when the contract first starts, because the utility rate changes from month to month, and the CCA rate is fixed for a
Mhm.
certain term. That's also determined by the community. And this situation can lead to high opt-out rates, even for contracts when, in hindsight, participation in the CCA program turned out to be less expensive than the utility supply. But we can say that high opt-out rates give us confidence that people do know that they can opt out. And in fact, they do that if they prefer to. But yeah, that's my answer.
Do a lot of people opt out after the program who have already joined up and then they decide later, compared to
Some
the number of
cases,
people
yeah.
who don't, who opt out up front and then join later? I mean, I guess you can
Yeah, I would
go both
say
ways.
I don't have the
Okay.
I don't have the numbers on that. I would
Yeah.
certainly say that the majority of people who opt out do so initially. Some of them because they're misunderstanding the program. As you can see, not everybody joins the info sessions.
Mhm.
Even though I know more people will come once they get that mailing. Um, but or they don't, it's something new. They don't know it, it's unfamiliar, so they're not
Mhm.
quite comfortable with it. There are some people who opt out afterwards, and there are some people who opt in afterwards.
Mhm.
Sometimes people opt out for one round and then they say, I'm going to give it a try. Note that one thing category that we did not include on the households that are not eligible is people who have opted out from the program in the past should not receive the mailing when the mailing goes out. So, if they're still eligible to participate unless they fall under one of those other categories, but they will not receive that mailing if they had opted out previously. They should not. So I just wanted to put that out there that if there's anybody on the call, or people who opted out in the past, just they will not receive the mailing. So they won't be notified about the mailing. Any other questions? If not, maybe we'll wrap it up. You can always reach, I'm gonna reshare the screen, the number with contact information. Okay, let me just go back. Okay, so again, you can always call the helpline or you can email us. The helpline number is 845-859-9099. I know sometimes when you're in one of these programs, you don't think of all your questions, but talking it over, thinking it over afterwards, more questions occur to you. So again, that number is 845-859-9099. You can call Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, but if you call out of hours, you can just leave a message. We do not put people on hold, by the way, so you don't have to worry about that, about long on hold times. But we leave a message and we'll call you back. You can also email us at info@hudsonvalleycommunitypower.com. And you can find lots of information on the website, which is hudsonvalleycommunitypower.com.
Peggy, there is a
Yeah,
question in the chat. Could you
okay,
address it?
another one? Sure, let me stop sharing. Okay. Okay. Okay, one more question. I'm currently being serviced by Central Hudson. Does that mean I must have opted out on a previous offering? Okay, no, I'm suspecting that you joined after the program had begun, after this presentation had begun, because I did address that very fully. I hope that people who were on earlier did understand that. So, but it's definitely worth addressing. So I'm gonna go back a few screens. And then I think it's a really important point. Okay, so what I'm going to do is reshare my screen because I think that the slides help to make it clear, and it is an important question. Okay. Okay, so in terms of logistics, Central Hudson does not go away. Okay, Central Hudson continues to supply your energy. Actually, the only way that I'm going to show you how you'll know who your supplier is. Just want to make sure that at the time. Okay, so Central Hudson remains as your Central Hudson at this time is not actually generating the electricity for your supply. What they're doing is delivering the energy and they're purchasing it on your behalf. They've essentially become the middleman and they're purchasing on your behalf and they're delivering it to you, the customer. What does change is the source of the energy. I'm sorry. instead of purchasing it from power plants, it would be through if you decide to participate, it's through the CCA program with the option for renewable electricity. But Central Hudson continues to deliver the electricity, repair and maintain the lines, and bill the customers. They are still the ones to call in the event of power outages, which should be no more frequent than before. How do you know who so I guess I should go on with this to the next slide in case you were not in the Zoom for the in the first part of the program. So you can see that same distinction between supply and delivery on your bill, on your electric bill. So in your electric bill, within that, there are two subsections. There's the electricity supply portion of the bill, which is at the top, and we've dropped in a green box around that at the top. That is not affected by this program because Central Hudson continues to provide the same delivery services, the billing and the delivery and repair and maintaining lines as previously. What does change is the supply portion of your bill. And here you can see, and this is also how you can see whether or not your supplier is currently Central Hudson. So it says here, your electricity supplier is Direct Energy. This was for a past participant in Central Hudson who was in a previous round of the Hudson Valley Community Power Program. And the supplier at that time was Direct Energy, which was selected in a bidding process. And that's where you would see the name of the new supplier if the town decides to participate in the program and if you decide to participate in the program. If, on the other hand, you could possibly have a third-party supplier or ESCO or Energy Service Company, and this is where you would see the name of that ESCO. Sometimes people signed up 2 years ago and they don't remember. So this is where you would see the name of that new supplier. There's also a toll-free number there posted in that same box. And this is also where you will see the new rate. So the rate for this particular, you find the rates a little lower in that box, in that section. And it says here, cost for electricity supply charges, 761 kilowatt hours. That's how much electricity this particular household used for that particular billing period, and the rate at that time was 6.361 cents. So when you multiply that 761 kilowatt hours times the rate, you get $48.41, the total, which is the total electricity supply charges before the sales tax, and the sales tax applies to anybody whether or not you participate in the program. So did that help to explain a little bit?
Peggy,
Yes.
if we were in the CCA before, when Clinton was part of the group, and then Clinton dropped out, we would have reverted back to Central Hudson as a supplier, right?
Correct. However,
Okay.
some people in the meantime may have, during that gap, may have signed up for a
Okay.
party supplier.
But if we didn't do that, then we would have just been with Central Hudson all this time.
Correct, but you can look on page 2. The
Yeah,
easy way to
okay.
check is page 2 of your bill.
Got
And
it.
this does not conflict. You might have signed up for community solar. This does not conflict with or duplicate or overlap with your community solar. If you might have
Right.
that in your bill too.
Right.
Okay.
And you did say before, I just want to make sure I understood this correctly. You did say before, if I heard right, that people who opted out previously will not receive this mailing that will be coming out when this is all said and done. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe that's going to be true for Clinton. I do believe that's true. I know for the other the 12 currently participating communities, that is true. And I believe that is true.
Okay.
Yes, that is true for for, they should not receive the mailing. I mean, mistakes happen, but they should not receive the mailing.
So if they want to join the program, they're going to have to find out about it some other way.
That is correct. That is
Okay.
correct. Yeah. And hopefully, I know you do have a Facebook page, and and you do have a town email. So
Yeah.
the easy way to know about it, if you're, let's say, in an ESCO and you want to compare the rates, or whatever, if you want to know, but you expect not to receive the mailing, is to make sure that you're on the email list or on the Facebook page for the town.
Got it. Okay.
So I will need to wrap up soon. Are there any last questions? Okay, I hope it was helpful. Again, you can, if more questions occur to you, you're welcome to reach out to us through the number, or through the email. We will be doing more info sessions, after once we have the rates, if the town decides to participate. So, you'll have another opportunity to hear similar information with more detailed information that's appropriate at that time. And it will include the rates at that point. So, thank you very much, everybody, for joining this evening. I'm glad people did not have to go out in the cold and the ice, and I hope it was helpful. So I'm
Thank
going to end this program, and thank you very much for joining me.